Who the hell are you?
Oh! Now, wait a second. I know you're methanol, but you can't just come in here and break the door.
I do not mind this game.
You crazy?
Guys, make sure you get a piece of this cheese. It's just...
Come here.
Try with the quince.
Nice back.
This is it.
And the Independent Spirit Award goes to...
Let's go!
Bye-bye.
First one that follows us gets shot.
Okay, roger that. You drive safe.
That was amazing.
Really good.
That was really good. Wow.
Quiet on the set.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the February 20th, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. Starting with the box office report, this week's winner is no surprise, but the scope of that performance is simply amazing. More on the specifics later, but for now, let's consider the top 12 on the whole. $271 million over 3 days and $327 million over the 4-day President's Day weekend is a record breaker. And in both cases, it's Marvel Studios beating a Marvel cousin from Fox's house. I think the superhero genre thing might have some legs, yeah? Let's start the countdown with number 11 and Samson, premiering to $1.9 million over 3 days and $2.3 million over 4. Sorry, John, but sadly, not even the Bionic Woman could save this one, as it slipped well under financial expectations. For PureFlix, the distributor, that's 6th place out of 10 total films, coming in $500,000 under Same Kind of Different as Me. There isn't any audience data from CinemaScore. On the critical side, Rotten Tomatoes presented at 25%, while Metacritic shows a 17% score. The countdown resumes with number 10 and The Post, down 2 from 8th. At number 9 is Winchester, down 2 from 7th. At 8th is Maze Runner The Death Cure, down 2 from 6th. In 7th is new release Early Man, earning $3.2 million over 3 days and $4.3 million over 4. That is below expectations, and it leaves Early Man under Shaun the Sheep's performance from 2015. Audiences gave it a B CinemaScore, and critics came in between 68 and 82%. There's quite a wide range there. Capping the bottom 5 is The Greatest Showman, down 1 from 5th. The top 5 begin with 1517 to Paris, down 2 from 3rd with $7.6 million and a total of $25.3 million. In 4th place is Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, holding position from last week with $7.9 million and a new total of $377.6 million. Now, Jumanji is sitting in 2nd place for Sony and Columbia, and if it can pick up another $25 million, it will become the jewel in that studio's crown. In 3rd place is last week's winner, 50 Shades Freed, picking up another $17.3 million for a total of $76.5 million. And in 2nd place is Peter Rabbit, holding on to silver with $17.5 million and a new total of $48.5 million. I know I'm moving fast, but we got a lot to cover with the next one. That brings us to number 1 and this week's champion, Black Panther, debuting to $202 million over 3 days and $242.2 million over 4. The ads said that the revolution would not be televised, and they were right. It was on movie screens. Black Panther is the 5th film in history to earn $200 million in its first 3 days of release, falling in behind The Avengers, Jurassic World, and both Star Wars The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. Black Panther has the 2nd largest 4-day gross in history, beating The Last Jedi by $1 million, but coming in shy behind The Force Awakens. Now, it's the largest February opening weekend, the largest winter opening weekend, the largest President's Day weekend, and the largest Thursday preview in history, all of which were previously held by Deadpool, the Marvel brother from another mother. Mr. Pool was also the top 12 champion for both the 3-day and 4-day weekends until this year. Black Panther broke their record for the highest Monday gross as well, previously held by The Force Awakens. As far as the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes, Black Panther has the 2nd highest opening, nestled comfortably between both Avengers films, with the first one in the number 1 position. This opening starts Black Panther in 12th place for overall gross in the MCU, with plenty of room to grow with an estimated final total of $550 million. That would also land Black Panther between both Avengers films. It's apparently a comfortable place to land. Black Panther places second only to the Avengers for openings in the comic book adaptation charts, for a Marvel comic adaptation, and for a superhero movie. Black Panther debuted in 4,020 theaters, marking the third largest per theater average, behind both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. But what makes that more amazing is the fact that the theater count was the smallest among the top 15 openings of all time. If we expand that to the top 25, Black Panther comes in second to Furious 7. Critically, Black Panther was well received, scoring 87% on Metacritic and 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. Among audiences, it scored the rare and coveted A+ cinema score. I have to agree on all counts with an 8.5 rating out of 10. Black Panther was visually stunning and powerful, and a magnificent entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and modern comic book films at large. I want so much more in that world, and I mean it when I say Wakanda forever. So who's next to take the throne? Well, the box office premieres for February 23rd are challenging the king with Games and Aliens. This week's headliner is Game Night, a crime comedy starring Rachel McAdams, Jesse Plemons, and Jason Bateman.
Hey, Brooks! Guess who it is? Ready? That is
Not
priceless.
expect us this early, did you,
I've
huh?
got to capture this moment, honey. Get in there. We'll take a quick little selfie here and send it off to the losers. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Oh, speak of the devil. There's Ryan now, probably calling, begging for help. Ignore.
Look, this is not a game, Max.
Jesus, guys, it's a wrap in here, okay? Show's over.
I'm confused. So this isn't the end of this whole thing?
No, it is the end, okay? You said whoever catches you gets the car. We found you. You get the car. Game over.
No, I'm telling you, this is all real.
The actors are real. Come on. How about that ridiculous fight? Was that real?
Is this gun real?
Oh, no, Annie.
Oh, no. Ben,
Ow. Blood!
Oh my God, I shot you!
What the?
A group of friends who meet regularly for game nights find themselves trying to solve a murder mystery. Game Night is rated R, and the word on the street says it is a hard R. If something mysterious and genre is more your style, we have Annihilation, a sci-fi mystery thriller starring Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Tessa Thompson.
We have to go back. We have to go back now.
She's right. I really don't know how much more right she has to be.
Okay, and I agree with you. We should go back.
Good. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, so the three of us can just
Hold
pack
on a
up
minute. Hold on. We should go back, yes, but it took us, 6 days to get here? And the coast is 2 days away.
You're saying that we get out by going deeper in?
Yeah, if you like, yeah.
Like? No, I don't like. This isn't some tactic to get us to the lighthouse, is it?
I believe that the coast is the best route out. Okay?
A biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition where the laws of nature do not apply. Annihilation is rated R. There are also 5 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of February 20th, and we'll begin with newly sun DVD and Blu-ray, and just in time for March, it's a holiday clearinghouse. We'll begin with Daddy's Home 2, a comedy starring Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, and John Lithgow. Brad and Dusty must deal with their intrusive fathers during the holidays. Daddy's Home 2 is rated PG-13. The other title is The Star, an animated fantasy comedy starring Ving Rhames, Kristen Chenoweth, and Keegan-Michael Key. A small but brave donkey and his animal friends must become the unsung heroes of the first Christmas. The Star is rated PG. Swinging by new release on digital video, we dig a little deeper for 2 titles. The first is Thor Ragnarok, a Marvel Cinematic Universe film starring Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, and Cate Blanchett. Imprisoned, the mighty Thor finds himself in a lethal gladiatorial contest against the Hulk, his former ally. Thor must fight for survival and race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela from destroying his home and the Asgardian civilization. Thor Ragnarok is rated PG-13. It goes without saying, but you want to stay through the credits on that one because you get some clues on Infinity War, which comes this May. The other title is Murder on the Orient Express, a mystery drama starring Kenneth Branagh, Johnny Depp, and Daisy Ridley. When a murder occurs on the train he's traveling on, celebrated detective Hercule Poirot is recruited to solve the case. Murder on the Orient Express is rated PG-13. And Denise, I'm going to leave it up to you to take me to task for how you pronounce Poirot's name, because I'm terrible at French. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Doctor Who, Twice Upon a Time from 2017, starring Peter Capaldi, David Bradley, and Pearl Mackie. The magical final chapter of the 12th Doctor's journey sees the Time Lord team up with his former self, the First Doctor, and a returning Bill Potts for one last adventure. The two doctors find each other in an Arctic snowscape, refusing to face regeneration alongside enchanted glass entities who steal their victims from frozen time, and a World War I captain destined to die on the battlefield, but taken from the trenches to play his part in the Doctor's story. A tale about the power of hope in humanity's darkest hours, Twice Upon a Time marks the end of an era. But as the Doctor must face his past to decide his future, his journey is only just beginning. Number 2 on the TV list is Midnight Texas Season 1 from 2017, starring Francois Arnaud, Dylan Bruce, and Ariel Kebbel. Welcome to a place where being normal is really quite strange. Based on the best-selling book series by Shailene Harris, the author behind True Blood, comes a journey into a remote Texas town where no one is who they seem. From vampires and witches to psychics, angels, and assassins, Midnight is a mysterious, safe haven for those who are different. As the town members fight off outside pressures from rowdy biker gangs, ever-suspicious cops, supernatural entities, and their own dangerous pasts, they band together and form a strong and unlikely family. This week's final TV title is The Master, the complete series from 1984, starring Lee Van Cleef, Timothy Van Patten, and Sho Kosugi. Newly remastered in high definition, this 80s ninja-themed action-packed TV series, created by Michael Sloan, focused on the adventures of John Peter McAllister, an aging master ninja, and his young pupil Max Keller. This mismatched duo drive around from town to town in a custom van, helping people in need while being pursued by McAllister's old nemesis, Master Ninja Okasa. Guest stars included Crystal Bernard, George Lazenby, George Maharis, David McCallum, Doug McClure, Bill McKinney, Demi Moore, William Smith, Stuart Whitman, and so many more. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you The Nightwalker, a mystery thriller from 1964 starring Robert Taylor, Barbara Stanwyck, and Judy Meredith. Barbara Stanwyck, in her last theatrical feature, stars as a wealthy woman who is terrorized by recurring dreams regarding her jealous, blind husband who supposedly burned to death in a recent fire. She tries to convince her attorney that the nightmares are indeed real. The Nightwalker is not rated. After a brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
So you were doing what yesterday? I was playing Oblivion for 12 hours straight.
That is the most awesome thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm still working on it. I'm the obsessive-compulsive type that likes to explore every cave, every nook and cranny of every mountain, every city,
That's why they
every
put it there.
back alley. Yes, I know.
You know what I like?
What?
Civilization and a bottle of wine. Whole day. That to me would be heaven. Because as I've said before, I can't play Civilization every day, but I could play it for a whole day.
If you had a bottle of wine.
If I had a bottle of wine.
Otherwise, would
just
you play it?
Not like to get drunk, but just to have a nice little,
It's like a good book.
Just, yes. Yeah. That's exactly what it is for me. And always think that I might play aggressively, and then I never do.
Because the wine mellows you out.
Because the wine mellows me out. It's awesome. It's just a really great way to spend a day.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Angela.
And when you're not listening to this glorious podcast, we would love to have you listen to ours, the Anomaly Podcast.
That's ANOMALY podcast.com.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. First up, it's not Rome, but I'll take it. Martin Scorsese is teaming up with the British writer Michael Hirst for epic take on the Romans. The Caesars will tell the story of the early rulers of ancient Rome, beginning with the first rise to power of Julius Caesar. The pilot has been written, plus the outline for the rest of the season. The plan is to create a television drama several seasons long, and filming is expected to begin next year in Italy. Yay! I've waited so long for something like this to come around. Hirst spoke of his excitement about working with Martin Scorsese, saying he is totally passionate about the Romans and has been desperate for many years to make a film or TV drama about them. He genuinely loves the period and knows a lot about it. He got on the phone to Justin Pollard, my historical advisor. They chatted, partly in Latin, about sources for the stories in Roman poetry. In Hirst, Scorsese has found a filmmaker with a track record of turning history into popular drama. If you know anything about anything, you know that Hirst is the writer behind Vikings. The Caesars aims to give a new insight into the young Julius Caesar. In the movies, he's usually a middle-aged guy struggling with political complexities, but he was fantastically interesting and ambitious when he was younger. A lot of the Caesars came to power when they were young, and we've never really seen that on screen. It's the energy, the vitality, the excess of a young culture that's being driven by young people. There's something astonishing about the rise of a relatively small kingdom to world power within a very short space of time. It couldn't have been done by tired politicals and faded warriors, Hirst said. The drama will draw parallels with today, he continued. The past and the present are virtually the same to me because it's just continuity. With the Tudors and Vikings, we make them seem resonant today. Now, he has been accused of sexing up history, but honestly, sex is a part of history. Too much or too little is really a matter of subjective study, isn't it? I, for one, am excited. I was so mad when Rome got cancelled, and now we finally have something from that era coming back onto the screen. Let's just hope it'll last more than one season. Up next, Black Panther shatters records with $235 million in the box office. As if no one saw that coming a mile away. Disney and Marvel's Black Panther pounded the President's Day box office with a record-shattering estimate of $201.8 million for the 3-day weekend and a projected $235 million plus for the 4-day holiday frame. The grosses are substantially ahead of the $192 million and $218 million respective projections. I mean, I can keep going, but you see the pattern, yes? It's shattering all kinds of records, and it's a good flick to boot. In the film, Chadwick Boseman stars as T'Challa, Black Panther, alongside Lupita Nyong'o, Michael B. Jordan, Daniel Kaluuya, Letitia Wright, Winston Duke, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, and Martin Freeman. The story, described as a tale of black power and black pride, in addition to its superhero themes, follows T'Challa as he's sworn in as King of Wakanda, a cloaked, technologically advanced nation in Africa that is home to the only vibranium mine in the world. However, trouble comes to Wakanda by means of a 30-year-old crime and a man who has his sights set on the throne. So I can't tell you much more than that, because to tell you would be to ruin the movie, and I don't want to ruin this movie for anyone. In fact, it's almost impossible to get any news out of the interwebs, because it's all deconstructing Black Panther this, overuse of CGI that, and oh, that one scene though. Now here's the thing, Black Panther brings to the table 150 years of race relations. It's a lot to unpack, and the movie does it well enough for its time frame. It doesn't beat you over the head with it, but it does set out to make a point and make the point it does. The movie covers a lot, but it does with a tact and humor. Does it have its problems? Yeah, they all do. Every single last one of the Marvel movies do. But there wasn't any gaping literal plot holes, I'm looking at you, Daredevil, except for those of us who study history and the rise and fall of civilizations. Beyond the dubious ability for a completely isolated society to become an extremely advanced society without outside interference beyond vibranium, the movie was awesome. And it was a movie that wasn't made for me. And that is just so great. I loved it anyway. I love seeing Afrofuturism because sadly, it's something that I'd never heard of, but I'm gonna go pick me up a few books. I loved experiencing a culture outside of my own. For me, it was the Dora Milaje. It was a proof that you can make a superhero movie and you can have women who have their own stories, their own strengths, and their own personalities that are not completely reliant on the main male character. Shuri and the rest are there because of Black Panther, sure, but he's not necessary to their entire existence. They are there to help him and to guide him and to make fun of him. They are not there as ornaments or plot devices. You know how refreshing that is? We being women, haven't gotten that except in fits and starts. Am I saying it's the best Marvel movie? No. Is it up there? Sure, it's up there. And we need more of them. Seriously. Okay, you guys, I'm so sorry. I know this is a short quick flicks, but you should see the Hollywood news. There is none. There is absolutely no Hollywood news. Right around the summer months is when Hollywood is gonna start kicking up into gear again, and I might actually have something for you. I am so sorry. Please don't hate me. I will bring you more news as I see it and as I can find articles that don't cover spoilers. You know how I feel about spoilers. And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition or the show in general, we would love to hear from you. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what you think we could do better. Take me to task on my terrible French that I haven't practiced since 4th grade. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using a microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow those prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com, or even go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, all one word. And I am Womprat99, like the creature Luke with Bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on future edition of the Weekly Podioplex, especially if you are doing it in audio and telling me how to pronounce certain words in French, because that would be awesome. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what the shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show is making a comeback this year, and it is offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab a cuppa and join in the fun, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, Present the Transcription Feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show Version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift Adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. No Roku, no problem. John is also publishing those on YouTube and Facebook. Even more reason to go to our Facebook page. So check us out and find the culture in pop culture. Now, if you're interested in more of my adventures, you can take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of that franchise and reviewing those tales in the Timestamps Project. This week I'm wrapping up the 22nd season, the first full season with the 6th Doctor, and next week I begin Trial of a Time Lord. You can find those reviews at creativecriticality.wordpress.com, and you can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and a cover designer. She did the logo for Creative Criticality, and I am biased, but I think she does great work. You can find her at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make through that store supports the Chronic Riff Network. Your support keeps us on the air, keeps us doing what we love, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of both Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. So get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and enjoy the journey.